Look at that. Look at that. I think we are live. Let me check and make sure that I am live before I start.
Live. Let me check and make
Hello.
sure that I'm live.
Hello, hello, hello. I'll give people a little minute to come in before I get started. If you are coming into the room, you are coming into life lessons with a emphasis on self-actualization and resiliency. And I am your coach, Coach Yashika, and this is week 7. We are approaching, we are in week 7 through HillmanTok University. So I'll give people just a couple of more seconds to come in while all of the things on my computer pop up. I will give people a second. And if you come into the room, please let me know that you are coming into the room before we get started. Okay. So we are about a minute into it. And so, again, welcome to week 7 of Life Lessons with the Specialization in Self-Actualization and Resiliency with HTU HillmanTok University. I am your instructor, Coach Yashika. And this is your first time here. Hello and welcome. If you are a HTU student, hello and welcome to week 7. If you are just stopping in and passing by, I hope that you will be inspired to subscribe and follow or whatever platform you are on, and I hope you get something from this. And so yeah, let's get started. So before we get into week 7, oh, and I love week 7. Week 7, I could not wait to get to week 7, okay? Because this is where we get to put all the things that we've talked about from weeks 1 through 6 on paper, and we start to look at it. But before we get there, we're going to go ahead and review week 6. Week 6 was about unlearning for the win, rewiring your mindset. And the objective for week 6 was identifying and replacing your limiting beliefs. What are the things that you told yourself or the things that you believe that limits you from doing certain things, right? And if you guys did not watch week 6, go into the HTU playlist on YouTube and you will find it there. But the things that we talked about in week 6, we talked about responsibilities and beliefs that are inherited, things that we are told from our ancestors, things that we are told from our parents, our grandparents, that make us believe that in order for this to happen, we have to do this, right? Like I think the example I gave last week was one of the ones that my grandmother would often tell my mom and her sisters, which was if you shave your hair up under your arms as a woman, then it takes your strength away. And so that was one of those things where my mother tried to tell me not to do it. And I'm like, Mama, I got gym class, honey. We are not in your generation anymore. We are in my generation. And I can't be walking around here with this big old bush up under my arms. Okay. So I'm going to need some Nair or a razor blade or something. But we got to get this off and up under here because this stuff is hot. Okay. Okay. So for me, it was one of those things where my mother believed it because her mother told it to her. And she too tried to pass it along to me, but I just refused to believe it. Now, are there some things that was told from my grandparents to my mother that my mom told to me that I believe? Yeah, yeah. And I probably still believe it. Like there are some, I know for a fact that there are some what is it, some what is it like when, like for example, if you split a tree or things like that, like some things that I believe, that's passed down, right? And it just depends on what you believe. Now, do I believe everything that was back then was untrue? Absolutely not. There are some things that we still hold true, some things that we believe is sacred because it's still our guiding post, right? Those things that our ancestors or our parents or our grandparents told us, those things are our guiding posts, those things that keep us rooted in our heritage, right? And so some of those things we can't get rid of. And if you are a Southerner like myself, where both sides of my family are from Louisiana, we definitely believe in carrying on some things in our family in terms of what we believe. And so I can't throw away everything, but some things I have to do it in order to make sure that I am living my best life, right? And so when it comes to how do we get out of some of those things and we start to rewire the way our minds work, we've talked about some rewiring steps, right? Rewiring steps, all right? Say it again, rewiring steps. Number one was identify the belief. Like, what is the belief that you believe for whatever reason, right? Identify that belief. Do you too believe that if you do this, then this will happen, or if you don't do that, that this will happen, right? Or do you believe that before you do these things, you must do these things, okay? And then once you identify it, challenge the origin. In other words, who told that to you? Okay, because we got Google now. All right. So some of the things that people tell us, we can Google it now, right? We can Google it. We can search it. We can do whatever. Okay. We can go on YouTube. Okay. We can watch a video on YouTube. So there's so many ways in which we can do things now to say, okay, do I really believe that this happened or that happened, or do I really believe that issue if you do this, then this happened? And so there are some things, like I said, that's generated there are some things that's rooted in fact, and there are some things that's just rooted in, just what we believe, right? So again, challenge the origin. Who told you, and is it still true? And then the third thing, reframe it with a new or different idea or empowering truth, right? So how do I replace this with that? If someone told me, like, I don't know, I can't think of a good one right now, but even if I went back to what my mother said about women shaving, right? I am naturally a strong woman, okay? Naturally a strong woman. Like any given day, I am every bit of 5'7", 175, anywhere from 175 to 185 pounds. At 52, I was that way when I joined the Army in 1991. I joined the Army at 174, either 174 or 178. I can't remember if it was before or after basic training, but it was somewhere up in there. So I've always stayed within that time, that weight, always. So with that, I've always been a um, power lifter. Okay. I was always been very strong, naturally strong. And so that was one of the things that I could show my mother that, mom, look, this is not true. Okay. Look how strong I am. I can lift these things because I was a power lifter as well as I did a lot of things that demonstrated strength, right? Power. I'm talking about not mental strength, but physical strength. I did a lot of things. And so I can show my mom that, listen, mom, no hair up under my arms, but at the same time, I still have my strength. And so, could I replace it with something else? Yes. I think what they were trying to tell us is that for women, their beauty is in their hair. And so I think it's almost like that Samson in the Bible. And I think that's kind of where they got it from. And unfortunately, they took it and, they made it too real. They made it too whatever. And then it became, well, don't shave hair here. I don't know. But I think it started from there. I'm just assuming, and just guessing. But for the most part, though, I don't think there's any connection. And so, what do I replace it with? Making sure that when it comes to my hair on my head, that I don't cut it unless there's necessity. Because why? Because I believe that there's beauty in a woman's hair. But that's just my belief. Okay, that's that. And so again, the rewiring steps: identify the belief, challenge the origin, reframe with a new and empowering truth. And then number four, reinforce through repetitions and align actions. In other words, whatever it is that you believe about whatever you want to become true as opposed to anything else. When you align yourself with those type of things and say, okay, I want this to be true for myself, right? Even when we talk about things that we endure, things that we places that we come from, right? Where we're from. Sometimes we can say, okay, I don't want to be a product of that environment. So I want to align myself up with this life. And so how do I do it? And so you start doing things that reinforce you being in a particular life instead of a different life, right? You reinforce it. You put those things on the wall and say, that's what I'm shooting for. Nothing else, nothing less. Now, is it a straight line? Of course not, right? But you will get there if you understand that that's where you're trying to go and you get there by any means necessary. And so that was what week 6 was about: unlearning for the win and rewiring your mindset. So now we go into week 7. And listen, we only have one more week to go before this is the end of the summer semester of HTU with life lessons with a specialization in self-actualization and resiliency, right? Listen, a lot of y'all still owe me homework, but we're not gonna go there now yet. We're not gonna go there. But again, if you guys have any questions about any of the topics that we've covered so far, or any of the the schoolwork that we've covered so far, by all means, put them up under any video. Or if you are an HTU student, you can go ahead and send me an email direct, and I will respond to that email. And if you are just visiting, then just go ahead by all means and send me, say something down below if you want to know more about this, and I will reach out to you personally and give you more information. Okay, now with that being said, we're 10 minutes in. Let's get into week 7. Vision with vibes, crafting your legacy blueprint. I could not wait to get to this. Okay, when I tell you I could not wait to get to this, because this is how, when I think about a legacy blueprint, I think about almost like a vision board, but on a higher level. Okay. Like it has all the things that you desire and want and that you are manifesting for your life. However, it's a map of how you're going to get there, right? Because it's broken down into different pieces, like different sections, right? And what I mean by that is, if you are trying to be self actualized, if you are trying to be the best person you can be, you can't have this part of your life not being okay and this part of your life okay. Because eventually what's going to happen is you're burning the candles from both ends. And so, for you to be your best self, to be self actualized, you have to make sure that you really take care of different areas in your life. And we're going to get into those areas. Okay. And so, week 7, objective, map out a vision that aligns with your values. Map out a vision that aligns with your values. Okay. Listen, when we came to this earth, we were not put here just to work and pay bills. Okay. We were not meant to do that. That is not what we are. Now, do we have to eat? And unfortunately, things are no longer free like they used to be back in the day. I mean, I don't even think they're free. I think they were exchanging for goods, right? They used the barter system. Okay. We're not there anymore. We can't use the barter system anymore. Can you barter some things? Yes. But for the most part, in order for you to eat and be able to have a roof over your head and clothes on your back, you have to work in some capacity, unless you are born into some money. But for the most of us, we have to work. But that's not what you were just put here for, to work and pay bills. All right. You were born to for something to outlive you once you're gone. Right? Think about it that way. Whatever, you were put here on this earth to outlive something that lives on when you're gone. When you think about it that way. Like, what is it like when you think about, okay, think about someone, that has done really well for mankind or society or for culture or whatever, right? That person did what they needed to do, and they're going to be forever, right? Now, granted, some people are more famous than others. Then you have some people who have made very, very significant imprint on society, but yet they're not famous like the movie stars and the actors and the musicians and things like that, right? You're talking about scientists, and you're talking about Nobel peace winners and things like that. Those people might be popular in their field, but for the most part, though, they're not as wild as worldwide. So when you think about your life, you're put here for something to outlive once you're gone, right? And you get to decide how you get there. You get to decide that life, because see, only you can. I can't tell you what your life is supposed to be and what it's supposed to look like. So if you tell me, hey, Yashika, or hey, Coach Yashika, I'm put on this life, on this earth, because I'm supposed to be the person that solves hunger in the world. Who am I to tell you that that's not your mission in this life, right? So, however you get there, right? However you get there, because if you're doing something that hasn't been done before, then there's no roadmap to it. Okay. I can't tell you how to get there. I can't. Nobody can if you're doing something like that. So how do you get there? Because everything you do is uniquely yours. I don't care if you are a musician. There are thousands and thousands of musicians who have been in the world and who will continue to be a musician. But how do you bring music to the people that you're meant to bring music to? Because only you can do it uniquely the way you do it. And so when you look at your life that way, right, only you can do it uniquely how you do it. Now, granted, we may take some lessons, or we may very well borrow ideas. We may say, you know what, maybe I need to consider this because of. Hey, all of that, because nothing is really, really just uniquely yours, right? Ideas are something that's built on one idea to another. You say, okay, well, I'm going to learn how to do this. Well, you know what? Since I'm learning how to do this, I might as well do this. And before you know it, you're building, you're building, you're building. Okay, you don't just go from 0 to 100. It's like a, and so when you look at something, and so you thought of an idea and you bought it over here, right? Most things that are created from necessity, are created from a lack of, right? Are created from, like, even when we think about the guy that owns Amazon, right? Jeff Bezos, right? Is it Jeff Bezos? I think that's his name, Jeff Bezos. When you think about, is it Jeff Bezos? Yeah, it's Jeff Bezos. When you think about it that way, he started where he said that he had some people in his neighborhood that needed to ship things out. And he was like, hey, I can do that for y'all. And so he started asking around about other people because people were like small business owners. And he was like, I know y'all can't hold this stuff in your garage. So how about I do it for you? And he started doing that in his garage. And from there, Amazon was born. Right. So when you think about stuff like that, most things are created from there being a lack, and it's a necessity. And so therefore somebody come up with a great idea. And so that's the only difference, right? But it's uniquely yours. And so you were put here to do something that outlives you. Okay. So this week, we're going to literally shift from survival goals to legacy living. So, how do you align yourself up with whatever is supposed to be that you're supposed to build that's going to outlive you? How do you do that? Right. But one thing we have to remember about legacy is that it's not perfection. So, nobody told you that. If anybody told you that, it's not perfection, nor is it performance. It's literally about your purpose. What is your purpose here on this earth? Okay. What is it that's supposed to outlive you when you're gone? Right. So when we think about legacy and what it requires, number one, it requires a clarity. Okay. Clarity, knowing your values and your why. Why do you feel that this is what you're doing? Right? What values does it align with? Okay. I know for me, when it comes to my clarity and what my values align with, for me, it's always family. It's always me watching my mother as a young girl. My mother is disabled. And me watching my mother as a young girl and me being the oldest child of my mother's two children. And so for me, it was, how do I get myself in a position where I take care of her? It had nothing to do with anything else because at that point, I hadn't had any children yet. It was literally about, how do I get myself in a position so I can see about her? And so we're 16 years apart. My mother couldn't really, there was a lot of things she didn't know herself. So for me, I had to do something that nobody had done in my family. And today I still do things that no one has done in my family. And so even that in general, right, I'm uniquely myself in the path that I choose to get myself to the levels in which I go, right? I construct that path. And so that was my goal. That was my why. And then as I had children, of course, they became my why. Okay. But for the most part, though, it's about me helping others. It's about me helping others. And so people always say, well, okay, who are you? I need people to understand that regardless of where you come from, regardless of the things that what you've been through, excuse me, I have to turn this on mute. Regardless of what you've been through, you are not your past. You are not whatever. Those are stepping stones to get you to where you're supposed to be in life, right? I don't know no one who has been able to construct their life without some type of setbacks, without some type of obstacles, without some, you know what, I shouldn't have done that. Okay. We all go through it. It's part of life. It's called life, right? But how do you know when it comes to your legacy, you're clear about what it is you're supposed to do, knowing your values and your why? Consistency, right? You got clarity, excuse me, you got clarity and consistency. Small choices that support the big picture. When it comes to your vision and what it is that you're supposed to do, you have to take this thing in small bites. In small bites. In my mind, I was going to be a I was going to have at least 7 figures in the bank before I was 50. Okay. Now, one thing I know about things like that is that it's about timing. Things don't happen on your timing. I'm 52, and when it comes to money in the bank, I do not have 7 figures yet, right? But what I do know is that the choices that I make today, the things that I do, even teaching this class right here, it aligns up with the bigger picture. Because, see, I am a self-actualization coach, right? I understand that young adults, right? I understand that young parents, I understand that people are still looking for like guidance when it comes to certain things, because we live in a world where people don't see a lot of where I started here and now I'm here, right? People don't see that. They see we live in a society now where we're in a put it in the microwave and let's get it real quick. Okay. And better yet, why is it that those people on TikTok making money now? Why are they famous now, right? Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? Because that's how people think life works. People don't know how, people don't understand that everything is a process, everything is a stepping stone. So when you have somebody like myself who literally started from the bottom, and I continue to work my way up. I can literally tell you there was nothing that was given. There was never without any scrapes and bruises. There was never without any obstacles. There was never without any tears. Listen, I mean, when I tell you a lot of self doubt, there was so much self doubt. There was so much, what am I thinking? Why am I doing this? I got to be a crazy. I got to be crazy. You know what I mean? Me doubting everything about everything. Okay. But I get to sit here now because why? I continue to do the work. I continue to show up. I'm very clear about my why and I'm consistent. And I've been consistent as long as I can remember, working towards the goal, which is making sure that I'm able to provide for my family, my mother, my children, and myself in turn. Right. Another thing that legacy requires is conviction. You have to have the courage to design the life that others might not understand. And I mean that. And sometimes this road that you walk on, depending on what road you're on, it gets lonely. You lose some friends, you pick up some new ones, right? You have family that will look at you a certain way, but you can't worry about that. Why? Because it's going to be uncomfortable when you are living your life purposeful and you on your vision. Now nobody said be all whatever, but when you are on your vision and you are being a good person and you're doing what you're supposed to do, listen, you have to be able to walk in your conviction and know that, listen, I understand that nobody else understands how I'm living my life, and I understand that I may walk this earth alone for a while, right? And I have to be okay with that. And that's why I have to be physically strong and mentally strong. And to be self actualized, to be completely self actualized, and to be resilient in this world, you have to have strength in all areas: mental, emotional, physical, it all, like whatever, emotional, physical, mental, like you have to be all of those things. You have to be strong in all aspects. And I know some strong looks different for different people, right? Strong doesn't mean that you never cry. Strong doesn't mean that you never fail. That's not what strong is. Strong means that even when those things do happen, you get back up. You pick yourself back up. You reach the tools, you get the things that you need in order to get back up, right? You use the tools, the resources to get back up. And even if you get back up and you stumble again, you get back up again, right? And you have to be able to walk in that, because legacy, when it comes to legacy building and really doing what it is that you feel like you're meant here to do, you're gonna have to, what they say, you need grit, right? You need grit. And not everybody gets there. Not everybody gets there. You see people in your life and you look and say, okay, well, maybe I don't know what happened. Could they have been if they had to did this? Because some people just realize, you know what? It's better to be here than to be there. It's more comfortable here, because some people don't want to be out of their comfort zone. Some people don't want to stretch because it's an uncomfortable feeling, right? Not everybody is meant to get there. But when it comes to a person that wants to get there and understands that in order to get there, you have to go through some things. To get to your legacy, you have to understand that what's required: clarity, consistency, and conviction. Clarity, consistency, and conviction. And some things that you can look at when it comes to having your visions aligned, right? Are your visions aligned with what you want to achieve, right? Sometimes you have to say no to short-term distractions that might not match your long-term plans, right? And I know that this can be hard sometimes, and this is extremely, I find this to be very, like, prevalent, especially if you are a single person like myself. I'm a divorced woman, so I'm single, right? And so when it comes to dating, There are times where I will meet gentlemen and listen, I already know that, might be somebody that I may go out with occasionally or whatever, but there's no future in it, right? We already know there's no future in it. Well, I've come to the conclusion over the last few years that I don't even want to do that anymore. Why? Because it takes energy. If there's nothing that's going to be, because my goal is to be married. My desire is to be a married woman. I am a woman. I am a wife. I am a wife, and it's just that simple. I am a wife. I am not anything but a wife when it comes to my dating preference, right? So when I'm dating somebody, either we're working towards that or we're not doing anything at all. Okay. But we have to be in a line. And of course, we start off as dating. We have to know if we're going to get there. But if you tell me when I start to meet you that you have no interest in dating, or excuse me, marriage, then I know we can't date. And it's just that simple. But if that is something you desire, then we're going to continue to date and see if we are lined up. And maybe that's a possibility. We don't know. But what I'm not going to do is waste my time with short term gratification if it does not line up with my long term plan. And so dating someone just to have a friend or just to have, whatever, no, I'm not doing it. And so that's what I think about when I think about short term as opposed to planning for your long term. If it doesn't align with your long term, maybe you shouldn't do it because it takes energy. It's all exchange of energy. Okay, it's another thing. Designing your days with intentions, joy, purpose, rest, and impact. When you are living in intentions in your vision, you're aligned with your vision. This is what this means. Like every day, you need to be intentional about what you do. Find joy in everything, right? Find joy in any and everything. Find purpose. Make sure you rest. Whatever you do, make sure you rest. And whatever you do in a day, make some type of impact, no matter what it is. You know what I'm saying? You can go out and dress. Listen, you can go out and be a whole vibe and speak to somebody or give somebody a compliment. That's making an impact on somebody's life. That's making an impact on something. You can do one thing today that's impactful towards your goal. Like there's so many things you do. Every day should be about intention. Now, is there times where maybe you can't check the block on everything? Absolutely. Because life happens, right? Life happens. But we can't get so far caught up in life that we forget because guess what? No matter what's going on in our life, time is still a ticking. Time is still a ticking. And I know sometimes we want to wait until everything is smooth before we get started. We're living our best lives and lining up and maybe doing setting goals and things like that. We want to make sure everything is smooth, right? But life happens. And so sometimes it'll never be smooth. So you have to just take advantage of the here and now and just do it, right? Take advantage of the here and now. Okay. And surround yourself with people and spaces that mirror where you're going, not where you've been. And that is so significant. When I tell you that's significant, if there's something that I want to do, I'm gonna go to people that I know that has done it. If I want to be a millionaire, okay, if I know I'm gonna be a millionaire and I need to know some things I need to do to get there, I'm not gonna go talk to anybody that hasn't come close. They need to have made at least, I would say, four figures more than me at minimum, or five figures more than me at minimum to be able to tell me how to get it, right? If they ain't made about five figures more than me, I can't listen to them. Okay. And I'm talking about five figures in a year. You got to make a good standard high figures more than me for you to tell me to give me financial advice, right? Now, can you give me advice? Yes, but you can't tell me how to be a millionaire because you haven't got there. That's what I'm saying, right? So you want to surround yourself with people who've been there. Okay. And you not where you've been, but you want people about where you're going. Okay. And sometimes that's where you may lose some people. All right. You may. Excuse me. Now, vision versus validation. Now, understand that when it comes to having your vision aligned, okay, your vision is internally driven. It's what you see for yourself. It's guided by your truth of who you are, who you want to be, who you desire to be, the thing that you're going to leave here when you're no longer here, right? That's your vision. Validation is you need somebody else to tell you you're good enough. Know the difference. Nobody needs validation. Nobody. All you need when it comes to your vision in this world and crafting your vision is just that, your vision. That's it. To get to your legacy, you need your vision, not anybody else's validation. So understand the difference and know the difference. And don't let anybody tell you, don't wait anybody's approval, because if you're waiting somebody to give you approval to live your life in this world, then you're going to be waiting a long time. Nobody can give you approval to live your life but you. That's it. No one else can give you approval to live your life but you. Okay. So when we were talk about some of the things that we reflect on, right? What does your higher self value the most, right? What it is that you want for you. What do you want for you? Okay? In terms of anything, okay? Another thing, if fear wasn't an option, right? If fear wasn't an option, what would you build, say, or pursue if you wasn't worried about fear? These are things I want you to think about when you talk about your legacy, right? If fear wasn't an option, what would you build, say, or do, right? Or create, okay? Are your daily choices reflecting the future you desire or the past you're afraid to leave? Those are things we have to reflect on, right? About if we're living in alignment with our purpose, okay? Ask yourself those questions. Now, let's get to the homework for this week. This is why I really, really, really could not wait for week 7. Now, this is the homework prompts. Write a day in the life journey interest as your future self 10 years from now. So, what does that look like 10 years from now? Okay, so 10 years from now, I wake up and I tell my husband good morning. Okay, and I put on my nice, long, flowy white robe, right? And I'm talking like sheer robe. And I go to the kitchen and make us some coffee. Okay, and I'm talking, I'm elegant and I'm beautiful and da 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 da. So that's what my 10 years from now look like. I'm talking to myself. This is a day in a life. I wake up, I get us coffee. From there, we get our day started. We work out together. When we work out together, we come back home. We get dressed. We do whatever we do in terms of our businesses or whatever. Listen. You get to decide what a day in your life look like 10 years from now, right? Because that's you putting yourself where you desire. You get to put yourself there, right? You get to manifest that. You get to align yourself with that. So a day in a life 10 years from now, what does it look like? And be specific, honey. Put down all the details, everything that you want 10 years from now in your life. Okay. Now, a bonus reflection. What decision can you make this week that honors your future self? Now, if you know your future self is going to be, like my future self is going to have this knockout body. Okay. In 10 years, I'll be 62 and I'm going to still have these beautiful legs. I'm going to still have these beautiful shoulders. I'm going to still have this beautiful skin, right? So to make sure I still have those things in 10 years, I'm going to say, okay, let me continue to work out. Let me continue to take care of my skin. Let me continue to drink plenty of water. Let me continue to, right? Those are the things you're going to continue to do because in 10 years, you want these things. You want to make sure I'm not going to go out here and start doing crazy things and just eating things I'm not supposed to eat or start working out, right? Because why? In 10 years, I want my today's self to look out for my future self. Now, does things happen? Yes. Some things are uncontrollable, but for the most part, though, honey, I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to make sure these legs look the way they look. Okay. So when we talk about a day in a life, oh, excuse me, let me pick this up.